Well, if you haven't heard by now, this week Matthew Robert Lentz died. He passed away, I believe, it was on Tuesday. A couple people in the Manson world passed away this week. Let's talk about them. And if you're anywhere superstitious like I am, and like my grandmother was, my great-grandmother, she told me people always die in threes. Was she right about that? I've thought that all my life. That could make me scared, because 2 people died this week. Was my grandma right? Let's get into that too. The first person that passed away this week was AP reporter Linda Deutsch. She started off with the Manson trial. Basically, she started off on Sirhan's when they were sentencing him. But her first full trial was the Manson case. And I wrote about it and I posted it in the community notes. You can go read about it if you want. Her career started and ended with Manson. It started with the Manson trial, and right before she retired, she wrote a story about Manson getting married. And I always wished I could have got Linda's autograph. Not because I admired what she was saying about Manson. She was just going along with the program. She worked for AP, so they were supposed to be a little bit more, objective on what they were saying. But I don't know about that either. But I respect Linda for what she did, what her job was. It was an AP reporter with the press. They follow rules. They have bosses. If I would have ever got Linda's autograph, I would have wanted it on that Halloween picture. Remember that Halloween picture that they took? The press and Bugliosi together during the trial at Halloween, when they were, they were just there to do something witchy. And they were there doing the devil's work. What was the devil's work that they were doing? Linda got cancer a few years ago, and she beat cancer, but it came back, and that's ultimately what took her life. She was 80 years old. It says she died in hospice. The next person, people could say, oh wow, that was quite unexpected. He was quite young. Matthew, he was 56 years old, and he died quite unexpectedly in the middle of the night. Let's get into that. But before we get into what I know about Matthew and his story, and I know quite a bit. I've known Matthew for a long time. I've known him since 2012 or something like that. But before we get into Matthew's story, my grandmother was absolutely correct. People do die in threes. So in this Manson story, Linda died, Matthew died, and should anybody be worried who's connected to this? I don't think so. Because early in May, another friend connected to this Manson case, connected to Shorty Shea. Shorty Shea inspired him so much that he became a stuntman. He became a stuntman, and he became a friend of everybody's too, except for George Stimson's. What amazed me most about Pete Porteous is he was a stuntman, but he was also he did parts where you couldn't really see his face, and he was one of the Slee Stack in Land of the Lost. Oh man, that was like I was like really excited. I got Pete's autograph too. It was like, damn, he was one of the Slee Stack in Land of the Lost. I love that show. I also got Holly's autograph one day in a weed store. So I got a couple people from the Land of the Lost. But Pete, he died on May 11th, and he also died of cancer. And Pete was trying to beat it all the way up to the very end. He was looking for his next part. Actually, he didn't really want to die. And I liked Pete. Pete was a good man. When I first heard about Matthew passing away, I, of course, like everybody else would do, I Googled it to see, and every time, like, I Google Matthew's name, my name always pops up right beside his, or my picture right beside his. So it's like we're connected in this Manson thing, in this Manson world, and he's going to be Manson's son forever. He recently found out that who his real parents were. It was ironically, it was like a few weeks ago, He finds out, and then all of a sudden he dies. I don't know if that's ironic or not, but sure is weird. I know that. It's almost like he was here to be Manson's son, you know? And I will remember, I don't care if he was related by blood or not, because to Charles Manson, in Manson's world, blood was never thicker than water. It was always the people on the outside, it was always the other family besides the blood family that really was Manson's family anyway. So ultimately, Matthew probably was part of Manson's family. He was Manson's son. What I've learned about Manson for all the years that I've been around him is, you've heard that thing before, chick magnet. Manson's kind of a chick magnet, but he's also a weirdo magnet, a mental illness magnet. A lot of people that write or came, or I'm not saying all of them, because there's a lot of good people out there too, but a huge majority of people that came to Manson, they had some sort of mental illness, be it depression, be it anxiety, loneliness. They all felt this kind of kinship with Manson. They kind of like, yeah, we connect, we know each other kind of thing. And you could always see it coming. They always have the same kind of expression on their face. They always say the same things. A real big clue of who some of these people are is they always like signed their name with "ow" at the end of it, And I was like, oh, okay, you're one of those people, huh? I actually met Matthew through Charles Manson, because Manson sent me a piece of mail which you can watch a video about that. I've made 2 videos, 3 videos, probably 4 videos of Matthew now. One with, remember the CNN and him taking a test with Jason Friedman, which was stupid anyway. Doesn't mean nothing. That shows just an illegitimate child. And then there was another video where me and Matthew were at Spawn Ranch. About halfway through the video you can see Matthew in it. Then there was another video just about 2 months ago that I was talking, maybe a month ago, I was just talking about Matthew, and I kind of feel bad about that now that Matthew watches that, and then, I can't really explain to him that I really like the dude. Honestly, I really like the dude, and that stupid thing that Ben Gorecki did, basically, Matthew would never talk to me anymore, because now we were in the hallway of Superior Court, and I was going to say hi to Matthew because he was walking right by me, and he just turned his head, and I knew right then that he did not want to talk to me anymore, and it was all because of that thing that Ben. But anyway, it don't really matter. If you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to talk to me. I still don't have any ill feelings in my heart about Matthew. A lot of things he said were really off the wall. But then again, the thing that I seen on YouTube about his death, he explained to the guy before he died that he had a hernia, and the hernia, it traveled to his lungs, and that finally killed him. Because in the middle of the night, actually, I guess I'm just listening to what a friend of his said, that he called another friend in the middle of the night because he couldn't breathe. And when the other friend got there, he was gone by then. But a hernia passing to the lungs, that's not what happened. Matthew, he smoked heroin for 20 years. He claimed that in the beginning he pulled his hair out in clumps, and the only thing that cured him of that was opioids, and when he couldn't get opioids, then he turned to heroin. And he smoked heroin for 20 years. And if you look at what heroin does to you for smoking it for 20 years, it really messes with your lungs really bad. And it's sad to know that Matthew, probably in the middle of the night, almost like drowned in the middle of his bed, because he couldn't breathe anymore, because his lungs were probably full of water, which is a horrible way to go. But he would always pass things off as something, like, hey man, heroin cured me pulling my hair. That's ridiculous, Matthew, but that's kind of the way and things that he thought. It didn't take anything away from him. He was really good, kind, sweet. He wrote a book. He offered that to me, but it was like I'd have to go get it printed at Kinko's, and it had a. But you know, somebody out there's got his book because he said he sold like 50 of them, so he wrote a book. He really just. I think he was really wanting to find out who his parents were, and he was really hoping they would be Charles Manson. And it's kind of sad, really. I wish he would have probably died before he ever found out who his real parents were, or who, you know, because that was probably, I don't know, it just seemed like his dream almost. And again, there's a lot of people out in this world that are, you know, that they think, hey man, me and Manson relate so much. He's like my dad. So Matthew wasn't the only person out there that thought Manson was related to him. There's a lot of them out there. There's a whole lot of them out there. If you get on Facebook, you can friend a lot of them who will tell you that, you know, Manson was their dad from at Spawn Ranch. I know at least 5 or 10 of them right now. So it's sad to know that, you know, Manson and Matthew had a falling out too, because you know, he was trying to explain it to the press, and in doing that, he said, you know, there was an incident where Manson might have aggressively taken advantage of his mother, and that made Manson mad. And after that, Manson wouldn't talk to him. You know, and I told Matt, I was like, why did you say that, man? And then later, Matthew changed his story to, it was an orgy then, you know, and I was like, well, I was too late by that point, you know, you already made Manson mad. But Manson actually liked him. He said, here's what Manson told me, he goes, go find my son, when he gave me that address. So at that point, he wouldn't have cared about any kind of blood thing. It was just the respect of, you know, wanting to have a communication with the dude. Because Manson really had not a lot of people wanting to communicate with him, not in a nice way anyway. So anybody nice, he was all for it. Well, anyway, I don't know what else to say. I feel bad for Matt, you know, but that's what, again, man, I feel like this is the same old Stanton video over again. Don't do drugs, kids, because this is the kind of stuff that happens. He's 56 years old. They say that's young, and it is young by my standards because I'm older than 56 years old, so I would have been dead by now, you know. It's like, don't do drugs, man. Just don't do drugs. Stay away from them, you know, and stay away from the people that are on them. And if you're around the people, like I was, and like I am a lot, as you can see all around, a lot of people that are on drugs, use your own mind, man. And until next time, because I was working on a couple other videos, and it just got too hot outside. You know, it's like 118 degrees here. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. And it's been like that for a couple days, so that's really why I'm not in the garage right now. And until next time, when I can go to the garage, peace.